Well, it is so great to be with you. We are glad that you're involved in this journey with us as we fast and pray together about what God wants to do in each of our lives. And this week we're focusing on our relationship with the Lord, especially our growth in Him and how we can fast and pray about that. When I went to Johnson University way back in 1981, I had no intention whatsoever of going into ministry. Ministry was not on my radar. But I responded to a challenge from some people at my home church who loved me and wanted what was best for me. And they suggested, since I did not have a clear career path marked out for myself, that I go and take some Bible classes. And then they mentioned being able to play college basketball. So I jumped at the opportunity to do that. So I made the trip to Johnson, got involved in the community there. And the longer I spent on campus, God began to get a hold of me. And He began to show me that I indeed had some gifts that I could use in ministry. My junior year, I took a part-time youth ministry in a small community there close to Knoxville. And that experience was great for me because it really exposed me to what church life looked like. And then a couple of years later, I was contacted by Poplar Springs, and I interviewed for the youth ministry job and accepted it. And Jane and I and our young daughter Elise arrived in August of 1986. But I got to tell you, between the month of May and August of that year, after I'd agreed to take the position, I was timid, I was scared, I was far from courageous, specifically when it came to sharing the gospel. You know, the Apostle Paul wasn't always bold in that area of his own life. I want you to listen to what he wrote to the Ephesian Christians in chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. He said, "Pray for me that whenever I open my mouth, words may be given me so that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly as I should." Here was a man sitting in a Roman jail cell, not knowing what was going to become of him, and yet his greatest desire was that he would be able to courageously communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ. Y'all, early in ministry, I realized that I needed to grow in this area of my relationship with the Lord. I wanted to be more like those first believers who simply shared Jesus openly without any concern for the consequences. So I prayed, and over time, God helped me to become more bold. Y'all, we're not all preachers, but we are all ministers. The Bible teaches us that we are all representatives of God, and we're standing in the gap between our sinless God and sinful humanity and helping people to get to know Him. Perhaps you're not as brave as you should be in this area of your life as well, sharing the gospel. I simply want to tell you, if you are not, to pray. It's not so that we can become obnoxious or know-it-alls, not at all. We simply want to use good judgment. We want God's discernment on when to speak and what to say and how much to say. Let me simply ask you to do this specifically. Pray that God will give you opportunities whereby you can communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I will promise you, when you take that step of faith and do it the first time, you too will begin to grow. If the Apostle Paul needed people to pray for him to grow in this area of his life, you also need to pray about growing in this area. I promise you, with God's help, you can do this.